hello, my sweets. Oh, won't you come with me? There's oh so much to show in this grim dark distillery. And if you like bullshit or want some hobby tips, this nightmare priest, nigh and binary herald magnificent welcomes you. Hi, friends. Oh boy, it's 8 o'clock. I had a rough fucking night. All right, 8:02. What was I doing? Putting this over here. Oh, sweet, 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 merciful God. Tape. That's what I was doing. I'm gonna tape off this thing, that way I don't keep pulling my hands out of the area so you guys can see. You know, like people who want you to see what they're working on do. Let's see, we got some masking tape. I'm feeling pretty sore today. Full disclosure. Where are your pants? Go get your pants. Button fly. Yeah, here we go. So, I'm probably gonna have to fix. Man, that's good. Well, that's just fucking goofy. Is this really how we want to do it, Eli? I think maybe we should adjust that camera. Oof. So I've got a couple of different things to yap about today. And we got a whole bunch of stuff to work on. But first and foremost, I want to make sure that I get this little camera looking alrighty. So I'm thinking maybe there-ish. A slightly better angle. Yeah. Okay. Whole bunch of little pieces. Gotta cut them up real good. Kind of like a half shell. I liked Ninja Turtles when I was growing up quite a bit. I just like turtles growing up. I've always liked turtles. That kid had nothing on me. All right, Eli, keep your hands in this box, okay? That's what we're gonna do. And I realize that this is not very fancy. I ain't that fancy. Sometimes. All righty. Remind me later, OBS. All right. Good morning, my sweets. So today, we've got a lot on our agenda. Well, I guess kind of. Yeah, we do. Should I be in the corner, or should what I'm working on be in the corner? Should I make that bigger? Gonna have to lurk while I can be here today. Got some idiot corpo guy coming into the store today. Oh no. I'm so sorry to hear that, Possum. Well, my heart is with you. And I will do my best to hold down the fort. I had a real rough night last night. I accidentally went on a spirit quest unintentionally. And at the same time that was happening, I decided that, I guess I'll just let me fully explain. It's like 7:30 last night, and I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna calm down and just chill for a minute. So I step outside, I do my thing. I might have done a little too much of my thing, and when I got up, I was walking into the house, And I guess I walked because my body was very relaxed. I walked like I normally walk, not like I've walked in the past 4 days. So my hips, I've not realized. This is pro tip for anybody out there that is joining. If you're joining, welcome. I'm going to give you some pro tips for what not to do after you've had a vasectomy, um, or pro tips of what to do after you've had a vasectomy if you want to have a really memorable time. Um, but yeah, you're going to need to relax yourself as much as possible and then get up and try to get into the house. And while I'm walking, I don't know if it was it was a combination. It was a combination of lots of things of not being sober and then being hyper aware of like my body and then time dilation, and then all of that combined. And I thought that I had fucking died and went to hell. Like, that's how fucked up I was. Because I shit you not, I have never felt pain like this in my life. I couldn't even move. It felt like one of those little tubes went around the femur, where your femur, like that is the femur, right? Yeah, femoral artery right there. Right where the femur meets into your hip bone. It felt like one of those little tubies got wrapped around there and then like tightened. And like I couldn't move at all. So for like 2 hours, it was just like waves of me trying to get used to my body. Realizing after about like an hour in, I was like, oh my God, this is not hell. I'm stretching. That's the pro tip. If you get a vasectomy, don't wait to stretch when you're really not sober. After also probably bumping yourself on the way into the house because you were walking too fast. These are not good ideas. They're very bad ideas. It led to me projectile vomiting the entire contents of my stomach out, crying a whole lot, and then like pretty much having to massage every single muscle in my like upper legs. Like, I can't stress enough how much I was like, oh my God, I think they fell out. I think, okay, something's wrong. You got to check. Kelly checks. She's like, no, everything looks fine. Actually, it looks great. You're like almost bruises are gone. But when you are, I guess hyper aware of all the things in your body, I literally could, in my mind's eye, it felt like I was visualizing the entire time it was happening. Every single muscle connecting to my hips, I felt like in my mind I could just see it like racing, and it's just like I know a good amount about anatomy. I don't know enough to imagine what I had put in my head. I'm like, oh man, I didn't know there was a muscle that goes from like the tip of your knee all the way up to your groin. And it's just like, well, I know now because I visualized it as it was just on fire under my skin. It was a very, very not fun time. So that would be my tip. If you do that, if you do any kind of surgery where you don't move a lot, before you decide to do anything that might inhibit your decision making or make you feel like you're feeling better than you are, stretch. Do a little bit of a stretch instead of just trying to use muscles that literally haven't been used in 4 days. And your body, like my legs, I literally felt like my hip pop back into place 53 minutes ago. What happened to starting at 8? What? Maybe it did. I did start at 8. I started 9 minutes ago. Sam, you're a crazy person. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe that might be the story I posted. I posted a story on Instagram 53 minutes ago. Yeah, I posted a story on Instagram 53 minutes ago. Unless you got a notification. The Instagram notification said Yeah, no, that was just me. I got up and I was like, I got to make a post, saying that I'm gonna be doing this thing. So, yeah. Uh, oof. Oh, yeah. Um, on a sad note, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hang out today. I need to recover. uh, Kelly and I both got like no sleep last night because I was having a panic attack. Wild man streaming at 8 a.m. I know. Oh my gosh, subpar. Hey Chris, how are you, buddy? No, long time no see. I'm ranting about why you should stretch properly before getting so not in your right mind that you maybe can convince yourself that you died and went to hell in a couple minutes. It was not a fun night. I had a rough night. I was gonna say the same, so we're good. I love you, bud. Yeah. This morning I was like, "Hey, did I projectile vomit last night?" And she was like, "Well, you had the trash can, but it was very powerful." So I'd say so. I was like, "Yeah, that I've never like I felt I can't. I don't want to go too. I'll go into it though. Uh, I literally I felt my pelvic floor, which I didn't know that was a thing. But that was like midway through, before vomiting. It was just like I literally felt it's just like, oh, I don't know, didn't know I could feel in that part. Yeah, me too. I thought I was dying. It sucked. It really sucked. So seriously, can't stress enough if you get a vasectomy. Down around day 4, do some very, yeah, squeeze your ball and that's your floor. So, is it? Yeah, squeeze your butthole and that's your floor. I mean, so, I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. I see. I don't know enough about the muscles and stuff down there. But I literally, it just was like it was essentially like what I did was, or like squeeze up the last drop of pee. So yeah, and that like, yep, same area. I cannot stress that enough. I was so sure that I was about to piss myself, and then the only reason that I was okay is I was like, oh, that's not true. You literally emptied every bit of your body out. Like it's, I've never felt like that before. Don't ever want to feel like that again. It was awful. And then, with the whole time dilation, it's just, you're just there for what feels like centuries, thousands of years. I had a really fun, I'm sure this is a fun story to start off with. I feel like it has to have been influenced by the fact that I've just been watching so much Sandman. But like, I seriously went to an alternate dimension when I walked into the kitchen and I was standing on like the edge of a monumental cliff, holding onto this like sand pillar, just like trying to get through just eons of time where I was just like, I don't understand why everything doesn't work. And apparently it only was 10 minutes. I was standing in the kitchen for 10 minutes and Kelly was just like, do you want to go lay down? And I was like, I'm trying. I'm trying to move all of my joints. It's just, yeah, groin. Uh, Or, as I said, yeah, I know the feeling, time dilation. I refer to it as my psychosis event. Yeah, that's essentially I got to experience the full bore psychosis event while my body tried to readjust itself from like no longer walking like kind of bow legged. Um, and then it was just like they were like, okay, he says he's ready, fired up. Click, 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 and they're just like flipping all the switches for all my muscles and shit and all my tendons, and I'm just like, ah. So yeah, it sucked. Positive note though, I feel better today. I feel better, a little more soul crushed. It was a very disturbing experience. I would not recommend it to anyone. Also, that shit might be too strong. I'm gonna pose that. Maybe. Shit, my brain's. Who is my favorite member of Hive Scum? Because I love him so much. Phil. Sorry. I love all the Hive Scum boys. I don't mean that. I love Phil because Phil. A fisherman always spots another fisherman. Like, the moment that I see someone, it's like, oh, hey, I know how your brain works because that's how mine works. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. It takes, which again, that's, uh, I've received a lot of compliments. One of the ones that I'm most pleased with was from my attorney-in-law. I asked him if, hey, did you grow up blah, 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 and he was pretty disturbed because I was just able to, I'm really good at reading people. I'm really fucking good at reading people because of masking. I've had to mask my whole life. So you learn how to read people really fucking good if you're constantly trying to put up your own walls. So now that I don't do that anymore, it's just, hey, I can do this thing. I don't remember where I was going with that, but man, yesterday sucked. So today, I think we're going to try to have a little bit of a smoother ride, babies. Yeah. Yeah, it was terrifying. It sucked. Yeah, I literally, and I wasn't going to go into this, but hell, I'll go into this. I mean, that shit might also be just too fucking strong. I don't know if it's a combination of, hey man, you've been like not doing the same stuff you normally do. But then I'm like, man, you know what? I think maybe Phil was right. I think maybe they're making weed too fucking strong. Because the day before it was just like, yeah, it could get you to the point. I got to start my drive home, feel better and have fun. All right, Chris, my friend, take care. Godspeed. It was wonderful having you here. It was great. Always wonderful to see friends pop in. But enough about me talking about my extremely horribly sore pelvic muscles and all the horrible things that I chose to do last night. Let's start working on some little dudes. This is where my hands go. I can hold them right here. Yeah. I'm gonna get some of these legs and stuff out of here. So today we are gonna be working too strong. Too strong. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, too strong. Way too goddamn strong. Like, potent. Way too potent. Not chill. Just like, yep, that'll make you to where you can invent your own gods and then maybe even convince yourself that they were real. That's the level of shit that I was on with that yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before. Yeah, not even just good for, I can't stress enough, good for if you're wanting to do some creative shit, because it literally will blast you into another fucking universe. But I was laying on the couch and like not trying to walk previously, whereas yesterday it was like, all right, it's time to get up and walk, and it's just like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that, and you can't do it like trying to pretend like you're normal. So that's my fun little story, and a cautionary tale. Also, it's probably just worth stretching. Referring to previous conversation, we can move to models, lol. Oh yeah. Well, better to create in there. Don't want, you'll be depressed in there. Yeah, so it's just, yeah, just gonna work on building some models. So I finished, or I did not finish, but they are at the point where we're gonna work on them today and hopefully get them finished, as far as building. Ba-da-da-da-da. All these guys. I'm really happy. I'm the most happy with Kelly's Brute. It is absolutely fucking horrifying, in my opinion. Is this guy. Let's see. Let me pull up the old Oops. Maybe we'll go ahead and make this a little bigger. That way I can see what I'm doing over here. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this guy's going. I added, yesterday pretty much I got all of these put together from their scraps and pieces. And then yesterday evening, while Kelly was painting, I came in and I started to do a little bit of, well, I did the bit of filling in holes, and then actually made some epoxy green, which is just a 50-50 blend of green stuff and epoxy sculpt. And that's where I started to work on the visor for the Brute here. Get that nice circle, where this is going to look like a dome. It's going to be painted kind of like a Big Daddy kind of helmet, whereas this part is just going to be the metal. So we're going to put some rivets and stuff on there. And then this back part is going to have almost like a hood that's going to kind of cover up a little bit of areas. I'm trying to think of a good example. Kind of like, thought one of these heads had like a little thing coming out the sides. Nope. Man. Okay, the closest thing to it would be Pyramid Head. Everybody knows what Pyramid Head looks like. So back of Pyramid's head, he has this big breathing sac that essentially, like, it sits on his shoulders, right? I am not imagining that wrong, right? Or am I thinking of another big awful monster that has a weird shaped head? Yeah, so also along those lines, Kellys are very much influenced by BioShock. It's our favorite video game. And also one of the very first things that we ever like kind of bonded over, which I've talked about that and how afraid of pandering I am. Fun fact, when I met my wife, I was very, very fucking suspicious. And this goes into Trench Crusade. If you ever want to understand why I reacted the way that I did to Trench Crusade when it came out, you could talk to my wife and you could ask how I acted when we met, because I did not trust that somebody could have as many things in common with me and not have any negative intentions. And that's fucked up when you think about it on a really kind of sad level. But it's just when it's like, oh, hey, we have the same favorite movie, we like the same favorite games. Like it's eventually, I've been, when I met my life, well, first we have to talk about Trench Crusade. Well, let me talk about my wife. In order to understand my relationship with my wife, you need to understand my relationship with Trench Crusade. Which, Sam, I don't know if you were here for the chat we had about Trench Crusade, where Possum made the statement that Tomas was gonna pile drive me through some tables, and it's very funny. So I don't have a filter. I think we all know that at this point. If you're watching this, you kind of know. I just talked about like a lot that went down like yesterday that a lot of people would not be okay to talk about, but I mean, it really doesn't bother me because I don't give a shit. So Trench Crusade, when it came out, I was like, oh my gosh, so you mean to tell me that the guy that invented Mordheim, which is one of my favorite games ever made, and an artist that I have followed for a decade and a half, whose work is just, yep, like you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, Eli loves that guy's art, are going to get together and they're going to design a game set in my favorite time period, and I get to make the things that, like, my stuff, like, it's Trench Crusade is just like, yeah, it's dark and fucked up, and anything fucked up that you can pretty much think of will fit there. That all sounds way too good. That sounds way too good. And when you have come from a company that tells you if you get a tattoo of our IP, we're going to sue you. That's the company that GW is. Which has always been wild. I remember the very first time I read their stance on tattoos, and I was like, well, you need a bag of shit. I don't even know where the fuck to go with that. Like, how could you be so greedy with your property that you would want to stifle people's love of it? That's so dumb. It's just not how you do anything if you want the thing that you actually care about to be fucking appreciated. That's my 2 cents on that. Which, again, if you're wondering how to do things like out of good intentions, I would say the Trench Crusade guys have done a very fucking good job. And my whole rage was, I found out about Trench Crusade. I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. This sounds like it's going to be perfect for me. And then the first things I started to see were all the Nazi shit that was popping up. There was right at the time that that game became like a thing, a whole bunch of like real right-wing, like Christian kind of like people were like, oh hell yeah, and trying to like make the game into something that it clearly was not. However, it was at the time period that I was not in a good enough mental space for certain. I was working on my demons. If you're wondering where I was in my head when all this stuff was going on, I was midway through working on my literal personal demons made manifest for Visterion. So I was not in a good mental space to maybe try to think, hey, these guys are making a game that would really appeal to me, and let my guard down. So I got hot. Anywho, after a little misunderstanding, I might have posted a couple of stories about taking matters into my own hands and coming up with a better world setting that actually uses, you know, history and like how that kind of shit. I love World War One. I know an obscene amount about it because I'm obsessed with it. I can't stress that enough. If I'm interested in something, I have to fucking learn about it until like I'm done. And at this point, it's just like I'm always excited when I learn something new about that time period. But it's pretty rare because I've always been obsessed with this time period. So putting up my guards and not wanting to, you know, get hurt led me to maybe misunderstanding some things and maybe lashing out aggressively and stating that I was going to make my own trench game with little fluffy animals and something else and something. And I'm pretty sure it involved a picture of Margot. And then I watched the Trench Crusade video that Tomas made, and he specifically said something about if you're wanting to do something with, you know, fluffy animals and whatnot, you know, that's fine. Just do your own thing. Don't. That's not what we're doing. And it's just like, I wonder if that did anyone else get angry at Trench Crusade and say they were going to make their own trench game with fluffy animals, or was it just me? I think maybe someone else did. Otherwise, that was directed at me. And I did not see this video until after I'd already gone and confronted the Trench Crusade. I don't want to say confronted. I mean, it was. I was very confrontational. I'm very confrontational if I am doing something for the good of the people that I care about. I am a fucking rabid dog. So I am the kind of person that will go up to people and be like, hey, how do you think about that Nazi shit you guys did? And I cannot stress enough that that's why I fuck with Trench Crusade, is because I went up to them and I asked them to their faces and I looked them in the eyes, and I asked them about all the shit that really upset me and really bothered me. And I could tell that Mike was way less cool about it. I could tell that he was like, yeah, fuck this guy. Tomas, I could tell, was offended, but I opened the conversation with, I wanted to come meet you because, one, I followed Mike's art for, you know, a decade and a half, and then I followed, you know, I love Mordheim, and we have a lot of mutual friends. And I was just like, yeah, you know, the wires. And he was like, oh my gosh, so Alexander just started to come work for us. And I was like, yeah, I was talking to him about that. And I gave him a sticker and that kind of thing. So I think Tomas understood very much, because we got to have a little bit longer of a conversation, where I was coming from. I wanted him to be angry that I asked him about that. I wanted him to be angry because I don't fuck with people that aren't angry about that. If being like, if someone comes up and asks you to your face if you fuck with Nazi shit, I want you to be angry like that. Like, no, I don't fuck with Nazi shit, and that's because I just can't. I can't fuck with that. And I've had too many like loves, like things that I have loved, that I've put my heart and soul into, that have turned around and like hurt me, and I just can't do that anymore. So like, I really don't want to fuck with games unless I know that the people that are making them are people that I respect. And that's to follow up with all of that, so I don't just sound like a complete and total goddamn psycho. And I'm skipping over the fact that James Sheriff was there, and I stood and talked to him for a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm waiting to, say hi to Tomas. And I did not know who he was at the time. I did not see his name tag. So I cannot stress enough how bummed I was to miss meeting him. But I did respond to Alexander, and I was like, hey, hopefully they didn't take that the wrong way. And also, please tell James I am so sorry. And then I almost died of embarrassment when I realized that I was talking to a guy that I would have geeked out so hard and would have loved to have just talked about all the games that he has made, like the people that just are working on that games. Taking guesses on where Kelly relates as you go. Too good to be true, afraid she might be a Nazi, worried she might not be cool with how much you know about World War One. You don't sound like a lunatic. Yeah, I mean, all of that. Like, not Nazi, but Kelly specifically, if I meet someone and we have enough in common, specifically like our favorite things, like, I mean, my favorite game when I met Kelly was Dead Space. Her favorite game was BioShock, but her second was Dead Space. I had never played BioShock. The number one thing, if you're like, hey, what really set the tone for like, I don't know if I trust this. It was probably when it's like, hey, what's your favorite movie? And she's like, The Thing. That's not a normal thing. That's not a normal movie that other people often share, much less someone that I'm like attracted to. I'm like, oh, given where we live. Also, especially because like The Thing had recently been a movie that had just soared to the top of my list. So it was just a lot of coincidence. It's like, how do you have as much in common with me? And it makes me put my guard up. I feel like if someone is trying to express, yeah, I can't even play Silent Hill, so I need her to do it for me. Dude, it's so fucking rad. And see so I was a Resident Evil baby. Kelly was Silent Hill. You would think the other way, I know. You would think with all the shit that I make that I really fucked around with Silent Hill. No, that was all on my own. James, get out of here. Go back to your smoky old town. I got my own demons. I got my own inner demons, James. So yeah, this guy, Kelly, is an industry plant. If she is, it is so, she's in too deep. She's in too deep. I done Stockholm syndrome to the girl. Yeah, if she's an industry plant, she is in way too deep and has been way too supportive of things that I love. I can't stress that enough. Like, even things that she does not like. It's just that. I mainly, the relationships that I had, all the relationships that I had would only lead me to think that people would only like what I like if they want something from me or if they're trying to get on my good side. The things that I enjoy often were put down in most relationships. So it's just not a thing that I was used to, and it put my guard up, just like Trench Crusade did. But I'm trying to be less guarded like that, within reason. You gotta have, you can't run out into the streets and just hope that everybody will have your best intentions. But you also can't lock yourself into a cave and live like a hermit. And that is one of the biggest things that I want to say. So, my sweets, where are we going from here? Well, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I got to run and make a call, but you're great and I love the models. Show them mine. You have a real honest support from friends and you're heroes now. Thanks, buddy. Well, good job on the call. Have fun. All right, I will show them Sam's. Let's do it. Oh, man. Hold on. Here is a hand. Here it is. Is it? No. There it is. There's my hand. Crazy. Okay. So, Sam's. So, the first one that I made was his scalp. We'll make this screen bigger so I can see what I'm doing. I am an industry plant. I'm very bad at my job. So, I can't stress that enough. I mean, based on what I've seen of corporate America, yeah, if a guy shows up and he's been, he's just like, oh yeah, I moved here from somewhere else, and he seems kind of suspicious, and he's really bad at everything he does on his job, maybe he is a plant from corporate. The key is they don't know. You'll know because they don't fucking know anything about what they're doing. And they will constantly question, the things that you're just like, I don't understand. How have you made it this far and you don't know the basic concepts of what our entire industry is based on? And they're like, where are we at with those reports? Yeah, so that's a scout. Oh boy. And here's his assassin. I guess I went over what these were made from yesterday, so I won't list all the parts out unless someone's just like, what's that from? But yeah, pretty happy. And then I made this guy yesterday, so I will explain this one. He is from the Dark Souls board game. So this is one of the little, some undead goofball that you probably dunk on in one of the games in a settlement where undead live. Anywho, I cut him in half, and then I took a knight gaunt body, specifically these guys. I don't know which ones these are, but I took this body, and I cut off the hands, and I cut off the head, and then this is a backpack from a Skaven warlock that I've been holding on to for a hot minute, that I really I liked the way that all the cables and everything kind of feed into there, and it leaves this front open spot where I can put a visor. So I'm excited about that. And then the bow, the crossbow, is like this one, also from one of those Dark Souls dudes. I'm excited that I've been able to start using those pieces. Kelly's Knight. I don't think I covered this, but it's primarily, so the legs are from the 1490 Doom Knight. Ooh, I caught it. So, well, I caught it with my lap. I didn't catch it with my hand. I'm not that good, but I'm good. Okay, so yeah, pretty much cut off those legs and put them there. And then this is a Blight King, an AOS Blight King with all of the nasty stuff pretty much removed. Same thing with the shield. The shield is a Blight King shield, but I removed the Mark of Nurgle, and we're gonna work on making that shield look a little less roughed up and a little bit more like wood that's roughed up. Same thing with the mace. The mace head came from a 1490, and then the head is from, I'm never gonna guess the name, but it's Warcry. It's whoever fights the untamed beasts. Ironsworn? Does that sound? There's no way they're called Ironsworn. Is that the thing? I don't know. But at a very Bioshock-esque kind of look to it. Golems. Iron golems. Is that it? Iron golems? That sounds right. Thank you, Roz. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm really excited with them. There are still lots of spots that I've got to fix. This is another piece from a Blight King. And then the finger, I just cut the hand, and I used very small Iron Golem dudes. Yeah, I think Iron Golem dudes. That's this guy's helmet. Very Bioshock-esque. Again, Kelly's favorite games, Bioshock. She has a really dope Bioshock tattoo right here of two hands. It's American traditional, but it's two hands shaking with flowers around it, and one of the hands has, you know, the A carved into it, and the other one has the chains. I can't stress enough, like, her introducing me to the first Bioshock was a very big part of like the earliest days of our relationship. Specifically, there is a thing that we say all the time, Dad, because I can tell you, I can pinpoint it. There is a part in the first Bioshock where you go to you're going down in this like cellar or something. Shit, I adjusted that. I didn't mean to do that. So you're going down in this like cellar or something, like a wine cellar, and there's a dude down there, a splicer, and I've only heard, he is the only one that I ever heard say that, and we both heard him say it, and it freaked me the fuck out because I just didn't expect him. But I turned, and right when I turned, he goes, "Dad," and I was just like, "Oh fuck!" It just scared me. But I didn't expect the guy to be down there. And here's Margot. Margot says, "Dad, who are you talking to?" All right, so I think, where should we start on here? I'm probably going to do the Brute. I want to finish this Brute because this model is getting me way too fucking pumped. I might make... Wait a minute. Girl, what are you screaming about? I'm going to switch these. I'm going to go in the little corner. Yeah. Little corner like a Margot. Yeah, look at that. And then we'll just... Hey, now I'm in the corner. Ah! Okay, yeah, this is great. This is way better. Is this what you guys have been wanting this whole time? Man, I'm so sorry. Hi, Margot. Hello. Beep, beep, beep. So, one of the things that I was needing to talk about is I'm probably going to start doing either commissions or selling. I don't know if I want to do commissions or if I want to just make models and then start to sell them, put them up for sale. But I am going to start doing that because I need some income. Because I'm thinking the next thing I really need to do is probably get Greeblin a partner, both in business and romance. And I am so sorry, my friend. I just realized that your hair is messed up. I'm so sorry, everybody. I had to step away real quick to adjust Greeblin's hair. So yeah, I got a bunch more filament coming in. Okay. Got a bunch more filament coming in. I think I showed this at the end of the stream yesterday, but I'll go ahead and show it. This was part number 3 that was finished with printing right at the end of the stream. Our third part, honey. Okay, let me get the baby chair. You're not allowed to sit with me, but you can sit in the baby chair. Or you could be, you know, real sneaky and you could climb up on top of the cabinet like you like to do. That's also an option. Here's your chair. And if anyone is wondering, yes, I am very aware that they are as spoiled as they are because I do things like that. This is the baby chair because it's got stickers that say babies only. Because it's pretty, I don't think it would hold me if I sat in it. But it'll hold a little baby. A little fur baby. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just move. I don't know if I need any of this stuff right here. So arms, lots of... So this pile, girl, you're going to have to stop, princess. You're being a little rude. We are streaming. Also, I had this guy on my desk because I was showing Kelly that if she would rather have this head on her knight, that I could do that. There we go. Yeah, if she'd rather have that head on the knight, we could do that. It looks a lot more like her scavenger's head, but you know, bigger. But I ended up going with this one and started to make it a little bit larger just because I do think it was slightly too small initially. But girl, you are being ridiculous. You're not sitting in my lap. You know you can't. She has been trying to get in my lap since I came home on Thursday. You can sit in the baby chair. There is so much hair just came off of her. You can sit in the baby chair. You cannot sit in my lap. Dad, I thought that spirit quest that you went on last night made it to where I could stomp on your Bebo again. Are you kidding me? Alrighty. So, what are we doing? We're going to use a lot of this. And I'll talk about that too. So if any of you guys play salamanders, why would you? No one likes the good guys. Actually, the group that I played with, we did have a salamander player. I am of a couple different thoughts when it comes to the salamanders. One, fuck GW for retconning Vulcan and whitewashing him and making him just not black, making him something else. What the fuck? Two, I don't fully get. I don't know. They're one of the least interesting to me of all the Space Marine legions. But then again, I am a monster, and I think my favorite loyalist legion is like ones like the Carcadons, or the hyper insane Black Templar, like Crusades. The ones that it's just like, yeah, they're not the fucking good guys. Those are the kinds of Space Marine legions that I like, just because I think they really encapsulate what I love about the 40k setting, especially the Black Templar. There is just something utterly delightful to me. Again, I've always been a little blasphemous shit. As an orc player, I can appreciate how green salamanders are. Green is best after all. I will agree with that. Nuka Citrus, good to have you here. I will agree with that. Dude, I love orcs. So when I first started playing Warhammer many eons ago, when the world was young, I played Tyranids, and my buddy Alan, he played orcs. And that really... Orcs have always just been something that I love. And I've got a bunch of orc models that eventually I probably would like to do something with. I wrote not a short story. I guess it was a short story. I wrote an excerpt. The last Black Library submission that I did was a bunch of trench warfare. It was based around set in Totratus. So the sector that I made where Visterion takes place, at the very bottom of it, I'll get the map. At the very bottom, oh my balls, oh my god, I'm alive, oh my gosh, okay. That's an interesting little coinky dink I never noticed. The subsector at the bottom here of Totratus is called Helmut. I think Sam actually named that one. Shout out my boy Sam. Yeah, Sam actually is the one that helped me. So you all have probably seen this before. Man, I don't know when the fuck I did this. When did we get these? This company does not exist and has not existed in a hot minute. 2015. So about 10 years ago, I started working on a very, 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 very large sandbox for my RPG group to play in. We played Black Crusade, Dark Heresy, and Deathwatch. And the part of me that is just, I guess, who I am, is incapable of buying a book and being like, hey, I got an adventure and I'm going to run that. I just can't. I don't know why. I don't know. I just can't do that. I have to somehow change it and make it my own. So it's just like, why do I even buy these things? But typically, I like to take ideas and make them change. Dang, that's dedication. Thank you. I know that on paper, this looks not like much. There is a Google sheet that goes along with this that is thousands of pages. Or not pages, but of lines. Each of these is a system. Those are stars. So this is subsector Phaeton. And hey, while we're here, I'll talk about that a little bit. So Phaeton, I wrote, and you can read that on Between the Bolter and Me's. I've put a lot of time writing a lot of back lore for the Forge World Phaeton. um, including a lot of things. And I tried to make it to where, because Phaeton in 40K and in 30K, you could probably comprise everything that GW has ever written about it on this piece of paper. So I thought I was safe in picking something that they did not clearly plan on doing anything with. And then they decided to, of course, do something with it because, I'm sure a quick Google search will be like, hey, people use that word. Maybe we should pick that one. So Phaeton. Phaeton is a Forge world. It is at the time of the Great Crusade, it was the second most powerful Forge world. This is 40K lore, like 40K, like canonical. What I based Phaeton off of and everything that I did with it. And this is not so much like me working on models, but this will explain to you how I do world building. Phaeton, everything that we know about Phaeton, we know where the location of it is, based on maps that they've given of where the Forge worlds are. So looking at that, I was able to cross-reference multiple different maps from all the different factions, all the different times that they've said it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, and I pinpointed down where I wanted it to be, and it is very close to it's in subsector. It's in the solar subsector, I believe. The solar, not subsector. I'm saying sector. There are. Man, I'm trying to think of. When you zoom out of sectors, it is Ultima. There's the Ultima. It's not sectors. Fuck, I'm gonna have to look it up, but I won't. I'm not gonna do that right now. When you look at the Milky Way galaxy, they divide the Milky Way into 6 big chunks. Phaeton and subsector Tetratus is at the very bottom of the same one. It's Sol. It's the solar, whatever that segmentum. It's a segmentum. Thank you, Roz. I did think of it right before that popped in there, but thank you so much. Segmentum. Segmentum Sol, solar segmentum. At the very bottom is Phaeton. It is, I believe, a little bit south of Necromunda and north of Krieg, if I'm remembering correctly. Again, I haven't looked at a map of the Milky Way from the 40K perspective in a couple of years. A couple of years. So, anyway, Phaeton. The biggest part of Phaeton's lore that I wanted to emphasize on is, canonically, Phaeton was the second most powerful Forge world after Mars. It was the only one that was like almost up there with Mars. And always there was headbutting. Like, that we know canonically. The biggest thing culminated in the birth of the Forge world Altermidian. So Phaeton, after going, being who Phaeton is, Phaeton doesn't owe shit to anybody. They're their own fucking Forge world. They don't really like Mars telling them what to do, So eventually Mars is like, hey, dog, we noticed that you're building a lot of like shit for like war, like Titans, and you're just doing a lot. You're building a lot, and we really don't like that. Like, it kind of makes us feel nervous. Like you might have motives. And Phaeton's just like, well, I guess you'll have to fucking deal with that. And it pretty much almost culminated in a civil war. And this is pre-Horus Heresy, so this is like Great Crusade. Phaeton and Mars meet. Mars comes to Phaeton to receive a tithe. Mars demands a tithe from Phaeton. And they say, you are going to give us a third of every, or actually I think they just said they demanded a tithe. And Phaeton says, we'll do one better. We'll give you a third of everything that we have. And Mars is like, love it, love the tithe. That was a little me doing some binary for you. I love the Mechanicum. So anywho, they get together this big old tithe, and Mars is just like, oh my gosh, we're so excited. And then Phaeton's just like, hey, by the way, fuck off, and then just shoots the entire third of their Forge world into fucking the void of space as just a go fuck yourself to Mars. And there is so much shit in this like tithe that they just throw out into the void as a fuck you to Mars, that when it finally does come to rest somewhere, it lands on a planet now known as Altermidian. And that's where that whole fucking Forge world came from. It is a third of Phaeton. Just, here you go. That's a whole new planet. Now that's a new Forge world. And that is, they were much more popular as far as lore-wise than Phaeton and, say, the Cockatrices, which are the Titan Legion associated with them, because they were the Firebrands, which is one of the first, like, Titan Legions that they really kind of showcased. And the whole thing with them was, because of their association with Phaeton, they constantly were at the forefront to prove their loyalty. So that is about where, at the time, I had been coming up with what I came up with for Phaeton. That's about where canonically we stood. So I pretty much took that and I said, okay, well, let me finish that. After they did that, Phaeton now in the 40K timeline it went from being the second most productive Forge world to barely anything. Like it absolutely, it barely produces anything. And the little short story that I wrote that you can read on Between the Bolter and Me is essentially an exchange between an Inquisitor and an Inquisitor servant. Essentially, an Inquisitor servant was sent to watch Phaeton. And to summarize what the story was, it pretty much is just like, my lord, I'm writing to you to convey my findings. Initially, I was not sure why you had me come here. But as I write this to you now, months later, I fear that I truly understand what you are worried about. Phaeton, it has 2 sons. This is, as far as world building, I am absolutely, I don't like to come up with things that are not possible. So I spent a lot of time, and Sam did as well with me, making sure that the things that we came up with were physically possible from a space standpoint. That's where I learned a lot about binary stars, which get me so fucking pumped. So Phaeton is a binary star system. There are 2 suns. One is named Draco Silvestris, and then the other is Draco Sanguinis. And in translation, that means Dragonborn of the Wild, Dragonborn of Blood. And all this is for your campaign. Again, that's dedication. Yeah, so the intention of making this entire sector and coming up with lore for all this priesthood was, I wanted to have a place that is mine, where I can tell the stories that I want, and it does not interfere with the grand scheme of 40K. And by doing that, it gives me planets to destroy. It makes it to where we have a real space to play in, where the player's actions have fucking consequences. It also is good for branching into other storytelling, like narrative campaigns for like 30K. Incidentally, that is where the 30K campaign that my friend Ed and I were doing, it also takes place here. It takes place in Herogen, which Herogen is fucking awful. Phaeton, that is one other small snippet. It is just, Phaeton has been plagued with warp storms. They've always been plagued with warp storms, and that is why they were always looked at as very warlike. They constantly were under attack from warp storms, from aliens. They did not have a safe Forge world. So the idea was that it had a son, Udrak, I believe. Yeah, Udrak is the name of the son, but it's referred to as Draco Silvestris, which would be the Dragonborn of the Wild, aka a natural son. And then the other one is Didrak, which is the Draco Sanguinis, the Dragonborn of Blood. So Phaeton is the only planet in this entire subsector except for Thule and Iobos. Those are the only other. Actually, no, sorry, those aren't planets. Those are moons. Are they moons? They're stars. They're just stars. Thule. That's Thule. Thule. No, okay. So there's two other systems. There are only three systems in subsector Phaeton. Phaeton is one of them with two suns that orbit the way a binary star works. I didn't get into that. So binary stars in nature are so fucking rad. Their gravity, they are locked onto each other gravitationally. They orbit each other. So Phaeton is in the middle, and these planets or these suns just constantly rotate around it. And then they have three moons. There are three moons of Phaeton, which I don't know where the drawing is, but a long time ago I did a drawing. It was pretty dope. Combining the phi symbol, the Greek letter phi, which would be, Phaeton. Combining that with three skulls that looked very mechanical, mechanicum-looking skulls, and that whole thing was I really wanted to play with the concept of, the Trinity, which is a big part of mechanicum lore. It's a mirror of the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It's the motive spark, the God within the machine, and then something else. I don't remember, but I wanted to play with that, and I wanted to play with the concept that Phaeton makes their own God. Phaeton pretty much has run out of space, so they have three geosynchronous moons that are locked in orbit around this planet, and because of the power that a sun gives you, they have enslaved a sun and made it binary, they've made a binary system around their planet. So essentially, this story that I wrote was, guy has been watching Phaeton for months, and he initially did not understand why he was sent, simply to just observe. But now he is understanding. Phaeton used to be the single most, the only Forge world that could rival Mars, but now they barely produce anything. But yet, there is no day, or there is no night on Phaeton. The planet is in perpetual daylight, and the Forges never stop. So the implication is that Phaeton has never changed its ways in 10,000 years and has been doing other things that the Imperium, that the Mechanicum do not know about. And one of those things is that a big central part of my concept was that they have found the true Omnissiah. And I'll probably share more about that. But I don't want to yap too much. My mouth's getting dry. But all of these stars in here, they all had systems that went with them. As far as planets, each of those planets had very specific, we really, the density of the planets. How much of it is the mountain range? What's the gravity like? How long are the days? We fully fledged out an entire system of planets to just play in. And it took a long time. And we actually had the help of a friend. We had this whole system where you would roll a dice, and it would generate, this, and then you roll this, and it would generate that. He took those rolls and he put them into a Excel sheet, and he came up with a formula. It's nuts. I don't understand. He's a robot person, so I'll let that. Like a supercomputer, his brain is just different, and it's man, that guy knows how to do shit. But he made it to where essentially we took hundreds of rolls, and you could just click a button, and it would automatically roll dice, and it would generate all this stuff and pull from just a database of crazy shit that he had made. So yeah, that was one way that we started to populate those pretty quick. Anyway, all that said, I mentioned salamanders earlier. Yes, thank you. That is all for campaign. And my intention with that was to also, not just be for me and my group, and that was the first thing that I did involving, trying to open that up for others was I reached out to Alexander, and, I was like, hey, is Outguard, I've got a campaign, I've got this giant fucking map if you all would like a set space for it. But the planet Outguard, it actually is like, it phases in and out of reality, it itself, from what I understand. So they didn't want to pin it down. The reason I mentioned salamanders, if you are looking for pretty good, I mean, I don't know if I can think of anything that would be better than this. If you're like, hey, I want to do some scale, there you go. This is what I would use. Or not even like if you're playing salamanders, but if you're playing anything where you want to have some kind of scale looking armor or scale looking texture, and you need it to be like as though it's come from an animal, I cannot recommend this enough. This is the Corbel. They make champagne, but this is the wrapper that goes on a Corbel bottle. Not all bottles are like that. This would be from another champagne bottle, but it is not like that at all. This is what I use for most other kind of fabric, or even skin at times. Anything that's really thin. I mainly don't use plastic for like anything that really is fabric, because I want it to have the right thickness. You really, at least I really like to make sure that everything reads as proportionate and scaled as possible. And by using alternate materials other than just plastic, you really can pick and choose the density and the thickness that you want things. So I just wanted to share that because I don't have any need for scales that I can think of right now, but maybe I will one day. But anyone else that can benefit from that now. If you like salamanders, if you need some salamander cloaks and you don't feel like trying to sculpt all the little scales, maybe have a little champagne. Yep. What was I doing now? So now I'm thinking this guy needs some rivets. He definitely needs some rivets. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But first, I'm going to do a slightly weird stretch. Okay. Oh, sweet Jeebus. Here's all my micro beads. Some of them are not very micro. I like beads. I use a lot of beads. Number one, eyes. If you need eyes, use some beads. So we're looking for some small little micro beads, which is going to be these guys. That's too small. That's too small. So these are what I use for eyes. A little cat hair in there. But those are what I use for eyes typically. They're very, very small. At one point in time, I had them all organized, and I knew exactly how big is that? Not anymore. This looks more like what we're looking for here. I think that we don't want it to be too small that you're just like, what the hell's even that? But we don't want it to be too big because then it'll look wrong. But I'm thinking this will be good. So we're probably going to, how big is that? Yeah, that's good. So we're definitely going to go one right here. Oh no! Thank you. There we go. So I'm going to put one right there. I think honestly we're going to put one right there too in that corner. 1, 2, and then we're going to kind of go along the outer row with it as well. So a lot of drilling I do with my Dremels. I do not really like to do that on anything that I need to get real small, like detail with, because I don't have as much control. Yeah, right there. And I'm just trying to make sure I space them out at a reasonable distance. 1, 2, 3. Space should be right there. And this is going to really, I think, tie in with, fuck, I guess I should hold it like that maybe. Maybe then you can see. Yeah, see where I'm drilling? Okay. Right there. Yeah, the key that I'm really trying, I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to undo it. Overdo. Overbear, more like underbear. That was a Fur and Teeth song title. I'm like most Fur and Teeth songs, I would assume that it was I said something and my roommate responded with, yeah, overbear, more like underbear. Or, yeah, you don't want to do that. You really want to underbear, if anything. It's probably a, yeah, I don't really want to be overbearing. It's like, yeah, if anything, overbear, more like underbear. That one might be too close. We'll see. I think it's fine though. No, it's not. I fucked that one up. Probably needed to go just a smidgen over, but I'll pick up from here so it won't look as out of place. That one is just a slightly closer. Ba-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Slowly adding our rivet holes into this helmet. With our hand drill. Pin vise, if you will. And this is going to essentially make it look like we've got some nice little sealed metal on a old styled like diver helm kind of vibe. That's kind of what I'm trying to get. And then one more right there in that corner. All right. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer on that. And we'll adjust this. Yeah. Yeah, so essentially all these little holes that I just put along the edge of that, we are now going to take a smidgen, just a smidgen, of super glue. And we are going to try and put these little beads in there. First, I've got to get a wax pen. Oh, wax pen, there you are. There you are. And check on refund real quick. We got 1 hour and 10 minutes. Oh, Greenland. So I ran out of gray. I did not. It's been a pleasure listening in, but I must go be a productive member of society. I'm sorry, Possum, my sweet. Well, I am very, very happy that you were here for us. Have a good day, and I'm sorry that you've got to deal with the corpo. Don't let them push you down. Alrighty. I feel like I talked and talked and talked forever about Phaeton, so this is the part where I apologize like I do in most of my streams. Alright. Oh boy. We gotta do a quick little fit test here before I start. Oh! It almost fell off. Yeah, boy. That's gonna be so good. Fuck. I'm stoked. That looks so good. Yeah. I'm so happy that I'm using this model again. That's such a big thing of whenever I don't finish a piece, if it was made for something so like specific, like Outguard passed. So I did not have a reason to really finish that model or try to fix it after it really kind of messed up when I primed it. It just lost so much detail on them. So, and most of the parts that it lost all the detail, if you're like, it doesn't look that bad. It's the part where it's like bone, the bleached bone. That is where I lost a lot of detail, and I lost it mainly on the other ones, but also on the face and the feathers in here. It just looks so caked because it just dried too thick. His helmet might be off-centered, and I kind of like that actually. Yeah, I actually kind of like that more because it does not look like it is, but it is slightly, and it kind of adds a desperation to it. So I do like that. Initially, I don't know if I would have. Cold coffee, baby. That's what I love. Just a nice big swig of ice cold coffee. Wasn't cold. Wasn't cold. Oof. So now we're gonna talk about glue again. Oh my god. Okay. I'm fine. Pro tip also, if you're like, hey, I want to make sure that my kids are able to like handle like pain, convince them at a very young age not to get any kind of like pain, anything that deals with pain or anything that like kind of like numbs when they go to the dentist. I gotta say, I think my mom really like prepped me for like, I don't know what the goal was. I mean, the goal was so I didn't fucking like, you know, my face wasn't like numb all day because I don't like being numbed with really anything like at a dentist, or anywhere really. So I know that is probably the same case. Actually, I know that's the same case. So that's probably why. But yeah, I think only once has my dentist been like, you're getting a shot. Like, I'm not doing this without giving you a shot. Other than that, though, they're always just like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And then I start doing it, and I can tell it really bothers them. They really don't like when someone is able to let you, like, just dentist in their mouth, like, and drill and stuff, and just think nothing about it. So, it's a good life skill. Maybe. Okay. Ba-da-down, ba-da-da. Oh no, can we see? Oh, we can't see. We can't see what I'm doing. I'm so sorry, my sweets. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm way happier with having moved like this camera, or not the camera, but like the big part that you look at with my hands to see what I'm doing to the big screen. Like, that's such a better choice, Eli. What were you doing before, you goofball? Oh, There it is. Huzzah. That's going to look so sick. Show me that thing. Show them. Yeah. That's going to look so good. Yeah. I'm really pumped. I'm really pumped about all that. Yes. Yes. We got to put more little beads on here now. So as far as wax pens, also, I'm probably going to remove this wrapper real quick. I don't know, maybe not. I don't like Green Stuff World. So this was purchased prior to them being kind of shitty, being pretty shitty, being shitty, them being shitty. This was pre that. So I'm not trying to, man, that's gone forever. Well, that piece of bead is never going to be found again. Or it's in my lap. Nope, it's never going to be found again. One of the two. So, putting in little bitty dots. This is how we do it. It takes a lot of time, but it looks fucking real, so that's just why we do it, my sweets. If you're so inclined. Oh my god, it's looking so good! That looks so good! You're like a little diving dude, man. Girl? Aw, man. Guy. I don't know what your preferences are. Kelly has not done any of that. That was not a... She needs to pick out the gender of her models, of her little fictional characters, so I know what to call them. That was just a statement of, I don't know what Teus... His name's not Teus. I don't know what she's wanting to name him. I'm just going to call him Teus in my head, though, because that is the name of the base... God, that looks so good. Fuck me. The more I put these in, the more sick this helmet looks. Fuck yeah. Okay. Sorry, not to toot my own horn. That just looks rad as fuck. No! Little beads! Yeah, they're gone forever. All right. She sweeps beneath the wazers. I don't remember who it is that they're talking about in the episode. No! One of them came out. Get back in there. Get back in there, friend. You, I think, need more super glue. Beep. Uh-oh. Well, you all watched it. I did the thing. It just went right in there. Come on. Do it. Do the thing. Get in the hole. There we go. Ha! You son of a bitch. Tell you what. I reckon. Okay. We might need a little bit more super glue on these, and we might need a... That's not the right hole. Or sorry, bit. That's not the right size bit. I have two of these pin vices. These are my favorite pin vices. If you are looking... Sorry. Get back in here. If you are looking to purchase a pin vise, might I recommend, and there are many pin vices out there. If I was starting over and you said, Eli, I'm going to buy a pin vise, which one should I buy? There are my two favorite pin vices in the world are these two right here. They are made by Starrett, Starrett, and they are a little more expensive than others, but not much. And the comparison, there's not, I've not seen a single, I've never seen another pin vise that I thought was even fractionally as well designed and like realized than these. The so stare at if any of you do woodworking, that is where you would know the name. They are a woodworking tool, and they more than anything are known for quality and precision. And I'm gonna show you this just because it is not even oddly satisfying. It's just satisfying. The teeth on this thing are fucking perfect. Like it's just the way that it actually like grips is so precise and intent. Like it's just a lot of when you buy a pin vise, especially if you're buying a, you know, oh, I'm just gonna pick one up at the store, like a hobby one. Depending on where you're at, they're going to be some, you know, no-name pin vise, and it's from some store, you know, some almost always made, you know, overseas with parts, the cheapest parts possible. And I'm not dunking on that. I have one that I will never throw away that is exactly like that, but it's like I have it for sentimental reasons, which as silly as that may be. This is my very first pin vise. And the reason that I keep it is because it is a very, 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 very specific size. Let me tell you what it is. I think I get it wrong every time, but it's just very convenient. And also, I mean, part of me does like the fact that it's just like, I've replaced so many of my tools over the years and upgraded to different things. This one, I really like having it because it does a very specific task. And I don't have to change, I cannot change actually. So what I was gonna follow that with was a lot of these are very shitty, you know, scrap, made from scrap. This is one of them. I got this at Michael's. I can't even begin to think. I mean, it's been probably 25 years. I got it the very first time I tried to pin something. I went and I bought this. And it is 1.57 millimeters. It's very handy because it's essentially .14. So there's like a 0.4, like a little bit of less than half of a millimeter. So without thinking, I can kind of grab this guy, drill a hole, and I know that what the average sized wire that I use for pinning will fit. And if not, it's got enough space in there that I can, you know, put super glue in there and whatnot. So that's why I've kept that one. Other than that, I probably would only ever use my Starretts or my Dremel if it's something that I don't need to be very, very precise with. But as far as if you're wanting to drill very, very, very precise small holes, I don't have any recommendation higher than these. And I have the A and the B. There is a C as well, and there is an overlap. I no longer have hey, came off. It's on my finger now. They come in a set, like you can find them on a set on Amazon, and they have like a little little case. I did not get the set with little case. I regret not doing that. I just bought them individually. There is an overlap between the biggest size that this can go to and the smallest size that this can go to, but that's where they're at. And honestly, that's kind of why it keeps they're so precise. They're only precise within X amount of range, and then after that, you got to have a bigger vise. It's just, yeah, I could talk about how well made they are all day, but yeah, that would be my recommendation if anyone is in the need of a pin vise. Buy Starretts. They are buy it for life. Absolutely. if mine ever broke because I dropped it, let me like absolutely state that. If it breaks, it's because I dropped it. That hole might have been too big. It was. We might need to try to pop that guy out just a little bit. Made it too deep. Yeah. Huzzah. Yeah, and that would be one of the reasons why it's just like you wanna, with this kind of stuff, precision is very important. And so is, I mean, intent. Like, I don't, if I did not have like a visual in my head, I probably wouldn't have just started drilling. But I was just like, yep, that'll look good. I've been thinking about it. All that super glue just on my little fingers. Get in it. Do the thing. Do the thing. Get in the hole. You, get out of that hole a little bit. Yeah. And then we put a little more super glue. Beep, beep, beep. Bam, bam. So, almost done. I'm still in the square. You can see everything. Yeah, fuck yeah. That looks so fucking rad. And then we hit it with a zip kicker. Where's the super glue? Also, we're putting that rivet up. No. Okay. Super glue. We got to move all our super glue. I normally don't spray, but I'm going to spray. So, zip kicker. $7.99. Shout out to my boys at Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks Games. I normally, when I apply zip kicker, I open the top and I dap it on there with just a little bit of the end, because if you spray, it's a lot. And oh boy, I'm gonna need some zip kicker eventually because I knocked that over. That's why I don't really like to open the top, because I goof and it spills and then I make a big mess. Man, I am fucking loving this helmet. Holy shit, that looks rad. Yeah, no, that's good. And I'm thinking maybe I do want to adjust, because that's a little bit too close now. No. Man, I don't know. Yeah, I do. I do want to adjust that. I want this to be straight. I don't want it to look... No, you son of a buck. Man, I don't know how that fell out and I saw exactly where it went, but rad. Get in the hole. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Ba-da-down, ba-da-da. I'm feeling good about that helmet. That is rad as hell. So we're needing to mirror that. So it needs to come forward just a little bit. Actually, maybe I don't. Maybe I just need to clean this line up because it looks... There's some space in there. Yeah, there we go. Can you see? Yeah, we can see what I'm doing. Alrighty. Yeah. Still don't know what that is, but I keep humming it. If anyone guesses it, please let me know. That looks good. So a lot of my previous work, I think a lot of people know my stuff from my demons, which look very raw and are not, a lot of them are not finished. Most of my previous work though is a lot more hyper detailing. But that was back when I did not like to share what I was working on. So I am excited that I'm getting to do some of this kind of stuff. It's been way too long since I've worried about really, really small details. Because it's very fun. I like making unnecessarily detailed stuff. Right there. So essentially here I'm just cleaning up this line that I made with green stuff. Smoothing it out and trimming it up so it looks similar to the other side, because there was a little bit of an unsymmetricality to it. A little bit of unsymmetricality, as they say. And I gotta say, I'm not hating the slightly roughed edge that I'm getting by having to cut it. Also, if your significant other does not know the sound of you blowing off little pieces of plastic from shaving, are you really cutting your stuff up? Like, that is just a very specific sound. It's just like, And I thought about that when, I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. Always blowing on little pieces of plastic. Am I in there? Yep, I'm in there. Okay. But just things that, like, my wife has to kind of be like, oh, yep, that's normal. That's normal for my life. And I'm like, how did you get used to that? That's a really, slight one. Not a big thing. It's just like, yep, you get used to that. People be like, blowing a little piece of plastic shavings off. Hee hee. Tee hee hee. Tee hee tummy tums. The most beautiful man in the world. If anyone out there likes Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, I'm a big fan. Fuck, that helmet looks so good. I can't. I'm shooketh. Oh man, I really don't know if I want to put them. I need to. I feel like it needs to go on that rim too. I feel like that would look really rad. But I don't want to overdo it. But at the same time, I really think having the rivets around the rim would also make it look good. Does portcullis look like that on a diving helm? Let me look at a diving helm. Antique diving helm, tell me what you do. My package is coming today. No, Diving bell? What do those diving bells look like? Show me your diving bell. Nope, that doesn't look like that at all. So, hey. Looks like we got 2 on there, but not on there. So they're welded. Yeah, I like this. That's good. A lot of good stuff here. Okay, well, I'm thinking maybe we do want to put some little dots there. I don't know. Nah, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overdo it, and I think that will. I think that might be too crowded with the rest of what I want to do with them. And I've already done the back part. I think that is really where it, visually where I was wanting them to be. So now I'm just cleaning up that green stuff from yesterday where I went a little bit further over onto the white. Just kind of scraping that off. Clearing up these edges. Yeah. That does not look straight. Yes. Fuck yeah. That looks good. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly what all I've got done here now. But man, I'm loving this helmet. This is easily my favorite one of all the models I've made so far for Doom 1490 Doom. Let me go here and yeah, fuck me, that looks rad as hell. So yeah, man, I'm really liking that. One of these is slightly lower, but I think that's okay for what I'm. Yeah, and they're not going to be uniform also. So with rivets, these would not have been made with a machine. These would have been done handmade. So it would have been with a rivet gun or a mallet. I don't know at the time. How did riveting and welding work? Like in old diving suits and shit. I would assume it was hammered in. It's gotta be hammered in. Hammered, probably a blacksmith. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, Roz. Like I'm loving this helmet. This is my favorite one so far. He looks so fucking scary. So essentially now I'm going to be adding, and that's why I've got, oh, where did you come from? Did you fall out of here? No. You're just an unaligned bead. Make your decision. Choose which side you will stand with. And go back in your little hole with all the others. So, now it's time for the crinkle. Alrighty, I'm gonna do a lot of fabric. So I use a ton of different types of metal. My favorite, absolute favorite, and this is if you like champagne or you like wine, you're in luck. Or if you've got a friend who does, tell them not to throw away their stuff. I can't stress that enough. Like some of my favorite, most of my favorite like bits that I'm like, man, that's rad as hell, are like, hey, friend with your vice, don't throw that away. Can I have that? Like I have so many vapes that are just going to be turned into like bits, especially vape coils. Vape coils, if you've got a friend that uses that vapes and has like a nicotine vape where they have atomizers. I don't have any out here. One of my absolute favorite bits is inside of Zeus. There's a brand called Zeus. They make vape coils. And I'd say it's common. It's a common component. And if anybody knows where to source these for like a reasonable amount, let your boy know. Let all of us know. But inside of, let me see if I can find one. So, oh Lord. Okay. So, gross. Where is that? Oh God. Oh God. Where did I put that? Oh Jesus. Oh sweet Jesus. I don't know where this thing is. Oh my God. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. This looks disgusting. So yeah, this is absolutely fucking disgusting. So this is a cup of acetate or acetone. Acetone? Acetate? Let me read. Acetone. This is a big old cup of acetone. You ever drank a big old cup of ants, boy? So, the you ever drank a big old cup of ants, boy, is my bad impersonation of one of the tour guides at Woodford Reserves. I'm not a fan. So I'm from Kentucky. Happy, very fucking proud. I'm very fucking proud of where I'm from. And a big part of Kentucky heritage is bourbon and distilling, which one of my favorite interactions with another human being. Absolute top 10. On our honeymoon, my wife and I, we went to London. And one of the last nights that we were there, we went to a bar, a brewery called Beavertown in London, which is owned by the son of legendary, Robert Plant. So it was just like, what the fuck? Which of course, Robert Plant's son would have a brewery called Beavertown. Fuck yeah. But God, this stuff is gross. I see one though, so I'm gonna get it for you all. This is love. I love you all, or I wouldn't do this. That sounds like an abusive parent. I'm not like that. I'm just saying, I don't want to reach into this nasty ass shit. I'm not going to do it with my hands. I'm going to grab a tweezer. There we go. There's tweezers. So this is my favorite bit inside of a vape. It is what holds the cotton together inside of there. I'm going to grab a napkin. That's acetone, baby. Now that is some acetone. Ooh, I love breathing that in. Now I've got a cup. If you're also wondering, hey Eli, is it safe to keep that in that fucking like Chinese takeout cup? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I know 3. I'm not one. Identical triplet scientists go. So this is my favorite vape component. And why? I'm like, hey, don't throw those away. It is what holds the cotton or whatever that the coil, like your e-liquid, when you put e-liquid into a vape or whatever kind of liquid, any vaporizer, when you put something in there, it needs to touch a fabric or something to absorb, and then heat is transferred to that fabric, which causes it to vaporize. This is the little son of a bitch that if you're ever like, oh man, that tastes burnt, it's this guy. He got too fucking hot and he burnt. There wasn't enough liquid. It caused the cotton or whatever inside of there to be burnt. However, as you can see, this is like a very fucking rad little section of metal that could be used for so many things. And yeah, we're definitely going to be using some probably on these guys. It just adds a layer of detail and texture in a way that like nothing else like really looks like that. But there's spots for them. But that's my favorite one. Like, hey, what's your favorite part of a vape for modeling? That's it. At one point in time, I was trying to think of, because I do give a shit about the planet. I'm not going to be here after I'm dead, but I do kind of want to do, I want to do my best. So trying to explain the parts that of stuff that most people have lying around or that you can find lying around to keep it from out of, being thrown away or put in a landfill. Uh, one, free parts. Two, it's a win-win for me. So I try to spread that knowledge. Same thing with hair. Hair's a little different. You don't got to throw your hair away. I was gonna make a joke about eating hair. That had to do with Ollie from Bring Her Back. Big fan of his work. He eats lots of hair. He eats a table. Spoiler alerts. The funniest part about that is I have a son named Oliver. He's a little furry son, and he constantly, that's one of his vices. His only vice is he likes to, when he finds a piece of hair on the ground in the house, he like tries to eat it, and then he chokes on it, and we're just like, stop. And we had like, it immediately, the moment that it's in his mouth, it's like, hey, don't eat that. And he's like, and he runs, and you have to chase him around the house, and the whole time he's like, because he's trying to eat this piece of hair that's like that long, and it's just like, dude, don't eat that. And by hair, I mean like a tuft. It's not like a hair. It's a Margot spore, or a lot of people don't know about that, but Margot spores, you got to deal with them, or you get a whole bunch of Margos, and there can only be one. So that's that. Alrighty, 9:53. Piss the bed. How are you all doing? Everyone that is still watching. Been going for 111 minutes. I'm gonna do, I think 2 hours. I think 2 hours, 8 to 10 seems like a good time to share what I'm working on and do a little bit of yapping, so I'm not all alone myself in this basement. Man, I fucking love this helmet though. This is so rad. So those I think are too wrinkled, but maybe not. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of different kisses. Kisses are good. Well, actually, these are Reese's. Adequate. Home now, throwing some paint on trolls. Hell yeah. Painting up some trolls. This is very, very, very thin. So this would be good for very specific things, but not what we're looking for here. I think we definitely want to stick with a thicker kind of metal. Also, there's all kinds of things that you shouldn't use. I'll throw this out there right now. Coke cans. You can make stuff out of Coke cans, but you got to be real careful, or you'll cut yourself real good. But I think most people know that. I think I'm the only one that's just like, ah, man, what happened? What happened? I think I cut myself real bad playing with that Coke can. Oops. Oops. Yeah, that's going to be rad. So essentially, it's going to be like a piece of fabric that kind of hangs down and just kind of keeps oxygen in, or keeps the helmet kind of like coated in wetness, maybe. I don't know. I have a visual in my head, and I'm trying to think of how that would work. What would you do with that? I think maybe it'd be weighted, because it's kind of similar to the concept of what I've got with the Johnny going on. There's an open spot, but I have a cloth over it to keep bugs out, but also to allow, hey, yeah, no, this makes sense. If oxygen is being supplied, yeah, no, I've done the math here. I did the math. This is a very realistic and completely plausible contraption that I've built here. What am I talking about? Why am I doubting myself? No, that's silly. That's silly. Okay. Yeah, that's looking fun. That'll be fun. Maybe a little bit longer though. It needs to go up underneath of there and there. So we're probably going to have to do 2 pieces. thinking right about there. And then we're going to use our handy dandy scissors. And then we're going to use our handy dandy scissors. And we're going to snip right about there, I tell you what. Good, good. This is great. We're going to love this. You're going to love this. We need to get this little jagged area. We don't want that to be too long. Aha. It's still too long, but I love these rivets. I can't get enough. Can't get enough of these rivets. They're riveting. Ooh. Trying to remember what joke SpongeBob makes. Oh, it's when we watched the episode last night of I Love SpongeBob, and I'm going to talk about SpongeBob randomly forever. Everyone will just have to get used to that. But there's an episode of SpongeBob that I very much like, and I think it is prime SpongeBob. But the one where SpongeBob and Patrick have to paint Mr. Krabs' house. One of my favorite episodes. But there's a part in there when they're trying to hide the dollar that they got paint on from Mr. Krabs, and SpongeBob is hanging on the wall trying to cover the picture from Mr. Krabs, and Mr. Krabs says, "What are you doing, boy?" And he says, "Oh, you know, just hanging around." And Patrick in the back goes, "Boo!" And I always like that. I always like when Patrick is very aware. Very aware Patrick is my favorite Patrick. Or he's clearly a goofball, but not just a joke in itself. There's definitely, you can tell when different writers write the characters, I think. And that's my SpongeBob rant. Yeah, we're going to have to cut that because we want to have a little... Patrick got really flamed right. He really did. Like, it's wild how much... and I've not seen, I can't stress, I've not seen so much SpongeBob. Like, I don't watch past a certain point because it just got, like, not good. And I hear that it got better, like, with, well, I guess the most recent seasons, or season. But I think five is where I probably, like, draw the line, 4 or 5. It got unhinged, I will say that. Like, I remember one of the most recent new ones I've seen is, like, there's an episode where they pretty much beat Squidward until he's just, like they bump his head into stuff. It's pretty disturbing, actually, when you think about it. It's really kind of weird, kind of wild. But they are trying to take care of Squidward, and he bumps his head, and it keeps bumping it, and they keep bumping his head on stuff until he's like a big baby. And it's one of the most bizarre episodes of SpongeBob I've ever seen. Did not care for it. So I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to watch any of this new shit. What the hell is going on here? What the hell's even happening here? I don't know. Where are we at with this? So we want that to come down. Yeah, that's good. We're just gonna shape that around there. And then probably cut it right here. That way we can really glue it up underneath that area. Blue's good, dude. And now I'm cutting this. Yup. I love it. So just a little super glue on here. No. Got a little smooshed. Here we go. So I'm just going to put that up underneath of there. A little squoosh. Flanderized. So I'm thinking about that. Is that a reference to Flanders in The Simpsons? I'm not a Simpsons guy, but I know that that's a character, right? And it would seem like that's a show old enough that that's where you would have like, yeah, you could say that that happened to a character from there because it's been around long enough. You can really see age and time. Or am I making up a character? Just inventing characters to The Simpsons. I never really watched The Simpsons. I watched an obscene amount of Futurama. I love Futurama. But The Simpsons, as someone who did not watch that growing up, it's kind of hard to like start getting into. Which is kind of like, almost like South Park-esque. I feel like. This is definitely, yeah, it's the concept of the distillation of the character into single bit archetype. Yeah, so Flanderized, so like essentially most of the, like all the characters of Always Sunny, that absolutely, I feel like every character, which that is the only one that I can possibly argue for because of Rob McElhenney, or McElhenney, what he wants Always Sunny to be, I would never guess, because I've just watched too many interviews with him where it's very clear that like the choices that he makes are almost a like intentionally self-sabotaging choices for the sake of art. Which, I mean, how Matt got fat, like that entire arc, there's like a whole arc of that show where he just gains an obscene amount of weight. Because I remember watching an interview and he was just like, you know, I really wanted to show these characters as they are. And the biggest issue with television and with shows is it doesn't matter what show it is. As you watch it, if it's a successful show and they keep getting, you know, more of it, the people that play the characters can't help but look better because they are, you know, more successful. So they're, you know, it just over time, it's almost like a glamorization. Like I mean, look at Game of Thrones is a very good example, but he had a very distinct idea in mind. He was like, I want to show that these people do not do that. They only get worse. They're terrible people. And I want to show the effects that like their life has on them, as opposed to, you know, hey, you see us glowing up as people, like the actors. And I find that very interesting. Also, he's very capable of doing incredible like conceptual art. Clearly, the episode where like Matt comes out is fucking phenomenal. The one that has the interpretive dance. It's very good. I'm a fan. I think the issue comes in with people not realizing what the jokes are with some of them, and it's just like, oh yeah. Now that the joke is, it's just like, that's fucked up. Like you shouldn't think like this. Which was another bonding moment that we had at. Oh, I never finished that conversation. Ned Flanders. Okay, so I thought it was Ned Flanders. Simpsons upbeat Christian neighbor. Never seen the show either. Okay, yeah. So I was like, his name's Ned Flanders, right? But yeah, I don't know if I've ever watched a full episode of The Simpsons. I've watched every episode of Futurama multiple times through. Love that show. We're going to do a little bit of snipping. What am I doing here? I'm just going to be snipping that a little bit and grabbing and pulling. I don't want it to be natural. I would like, or I want it to be natural. I don't want a hard cut. I want pull and I want roughness to it. And that is done very intentionally at this scale. We can't just like let that up to fate because it won't happen. Sometimes you gotta take fate in your own hands and rip the guy you're building's clothes apart yourself. That's the lesson. Fuck yeah. Ooh, looking good. Yeah, that looks good. Tweezers. I never finished my initial thought, but in Workaholics, the episode where they stay the night in the office, they sing a song, and I sing it all the time in my house, but I don't remember who the actual person that they say is. But I always say it about Margot. I go, Margot, she sleeps beneath the lasers. If anyone could remember what actress they're talking about of. Man. Because that's in my head now. Yes, we're almost there. Haha, that's it. That looks good. I like that. That's a good tear. That's too much of a tear. No! Okay. Snip, 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 snip. Tell your friends. You got snipped. Offering free snips. Not those kind. Yeah, that's rad. Okay, I'm feeling good about that. And we're going to bend this up just a little bit. No, nothing is smooth. So we want to have nice layers. Nice little folds, natural. Nothing too intense. Yeah, that's rad as hell. Man, I love this helmet. It looks so good. All right, well, I think I'm gonna call it here. I probably need to get up, drink some water, do some other things. I'm gonna be resting today because, man, my body's sore after goofing up yesterday. I done goofed. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me today while I did this. Hopefully I did enough hobby work and not just talk. But I know that I need to get used to people liking to listen to me talk. So, it's hard. It's hard. But you guys make me like myself. So, thanks. I'm really happy with this helmet. It looks really rad. I'm really excited to finish this model. Let's see. Today is Tuesday. Okay, so yeah. Thursday will be the Dying World Thursday, where we get back into our Merkborg solo playthrough. That's definitely going to happen. I'm going to do a little bit of recovering and taking it easy today. not overdoing it after last night's horrible experiences. And then tomorrow I'll be back bright and early, but I will keep you guys up to date. I'll probably check into the Discord if you are wanting to join that and hang out and chat with us. The link is in YouTube. There's a permanent link in YouTube. Yeah, come hang out, talk. Trying to make it into something, where it's actually worth hanging out and talking in. So thank you so much for hanging out. Roz, Possum, Nuke, Sam, everyone that Subpar especially. Haven't had him in a hot minute. So thank you all so much for hanging out. I think that's everyone. Shout out to everybody keeping me. Yeah, Possum, Subpar, Nuke. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, from here, I'm just going to say, man, I'm tired. Shit. Okay. Blah. I think I just have been hyper-focusing on this, and then my brain is just like, dude, you haven't drank any water. You haven't done rest well, dog. Thank you, Ross. I am going to go probably have some water, maybe get something to eat, and rest. But I've had a wonderful time hanging out with you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, sit pretty, take care of yourselves and each other, and have a good day. Take care. Bye, friends. Thank you again for your time. It means the world to me. It really does. Thanks.